Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Foundational Skills in Life Sciences podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Synaptologica. Today is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. I'm recording this episode because a few hours ago today, there was an announcement of the Nobel Prize in Physics 2024. It was awarded to Dr. John Hopfield and Dr. Geoffrey Hinton. It was awarded, quote, for foundational discoveries and inventions that enable machine learning with artificial neural networks, close quote. You might be wondering why we are talking about the Nobel Prize in Physics. Yesterday, we talked about the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. We are life scientists, so physics would seem to have nothing to do with us. But this Nobel Prize was about the development of artificial intelligence, or AI, so the topic will have a strong link with us, and let me talk about it today. The take-home message is that understanding the basic AI theory would be beneficial for us life scientists in using the AI tools. This take-home message will be a little weak if neuroscience is not so interesting to you. If that is the case, you can skip this episode. Here, I would like to talk a little about neuroscience because it is related to this year's Nobel Prize in Physics. When I was a student, I was interested in the structure of the nervous system. Its study is called the neuroanatomy. I was especially fascinated by the structures of individual brain regions at the cellular level when viewed under a light microscope. If I'm allowed to say very crudely, there are three broad classifications of structures. 1. In one category of structures, clear structures are visible by some standard methods of histological staining. There are beautiful organizations of different types of cells in multiple layers. Those structures are thought to make the specific functions possible. We can talk about the following three examples. 1. At the back of the eye, there is the light-sensing retina. The cells in the retina process the information of light and send the information to the brain. 2. Deep within the brain, there is a region called the hippocampus. It is associated with learning and memory. 3. At the back of the brain, there is the cerebellum, and its cortex, called the cerebellar cortex, has such a beautiful organization that it can be described by a simple wiring diagram. The cerebellum is associated with coordinating body movements. 2. In another category of structures, there are brain regions with no clear visible structures. One example is a brain region in the brainstem called the reticular formation. It is involved in many functions, including the control of breathing and heartbeats. 3. Between these two categories at the opposite ends, there is the third category in the middle. These brain regions have relatively clear layered structures, but a simple wiring diagram is difficult to draw because it is complex. New cell types were being found continuously at a rapid pace. One good example is the cerebral cortex at the top of the brain. It is involved in high-order cognitive functions. All these structures were identified morphologically, and their descriptions were clear to me as a student. Let's call such neuronal connections in specific structures of a certain brain region a neuronal network. But what was unclear to me at the time was how a neuronal network of a certain brain region can lead to specific functions of that region. On top of that, I had questions such as, what will happen if those different brain regions with different structures and functions are connected with each other? How do those functions change when the structures are modified during normal development and under pathological conditions? These were just a few of my questions when I was a student. They may still be difficult to answer even now. Then at the time, I learned some theoretical work that were based on those neuronal networks. I started reading old articles and books. I will list here 6 examples. In 1943, Warren McCulloch and Walter Pitts published a foundational paper on the theory of neuronal network. In 1958, Frank Rosenblatt published a book on a new model called the perceptron. In 1969, David Marr published a paper about a theory of cerebellar cortex. In 1982, David Marr published a book about a computational theory of vision. In 1986, David Rumelhart and others published a 2-volume book on the algorithm called the parallel distributed processing. And lastly, in 1986, David Rumelhart and Geoffrey Hinton published a Nature paper on a functional model based on the so-called error backpropagation. The author list includes Dr. Geoffrey Hinton, the Nobel laureate this year. These theoretical papers and books were very interesting, although I did not understand the details. Fast forward, starting in about 2012, these foundations led to the accelerated development of AI, and the progress is continuing very rapidly now. I'm still fascinated by how the neuroscience contributed to the development of AI, at least at its initial stage. Now we want to use AI almost every day and in our daily lives. Practically in our professional work, we would like to think about how the AI can be developed and applied to our work. For example, to analyze the experimental data, to generate a new hypothesis and a new question from the analyzed data, and even to do experiments based on the new hypothesis or question. I'm not keeping up with the AI development except for trying to use the basic features of it. But this year's Nobel Prize in Physics brought my attention to the foundations of the AI. It may be a good time for us, life scientists, to pay some attention to the basic aspects of AI. I'm not saying that we should learn the AI deep, but it will be good to pay attention to it. This is my take-home message today. I agree that it sounds a little weak. If it is a little challenging for us to try understanding the AI, then I would simplify my message to just have fun watching the YouTube video. The Nobel Committee members announced the Nobel Prize laureates and explained their work. In the episode descriptions, I will show you 2 links to the YouTube video. One is a direct link to the video on YouTube, and another is the link to the same video embedded on the Nobel Prize website. I hope you enjoy watching the announcement. Thank you for joining me in today's episode of Foundational Skills in Life Sciences. I'm Dr. Synaptologica. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.